Well, welcome on our show, Abhiraj. Thanks for coming to our show and talking to us about UrbanClap. The first question I want to pose to you is, how has this 4-year startup journey of UrbanClap been for you?
The journey has been, of course, very, very rewarding, and at the same time we also feel like we are just getting started with our vision and with what we want to create as a company. See, when we started 4 years back, we had a very simple vision, and that vision was to organize the space of home and local services, to make local services and home services trustworthy, standardized and reliable and easily accessible to millions of people all over the world, and in the process to also empower service professionals who were otherwise making probably 10,000 or 15,000 rupees a month, working at the behest of a middleman, an aggregator, a local thekedar, to empower them to work for themselves, which means that train them, give them the right tools, give them the right technology solutions, and get them to become micro-entrepreneurs. So this was the dream and the vision then, and it continues to be the dream and the vision today, 4 years later, even though we have about 50,000 service professionals who are associated with the platform, and we've served more than 5 million customers. We think we're only getting started, because we want to, at scale, deeply impact the lives of millions of service professionals. We want to be the livelihood platform for millions of service professionals, and we want to be the way the world hires home and local services. We want to be the ubiquitous platform for home and local services for end consumers. So we have a very long way to go, and we think we're only scratching the surface.
Well, you've served 5 million customers. UrbanClap has become a household name. Tell me, how do you ensure impeccable, timely service with trustworthy professionals coming to our homes?
Yeah, no, that's a very good question, and I think the question at some level is at the heart of what we do as a company. First of all, I think, if I just clip that question one level above, which is, who is at the heart of services, then you realize that the individual who's at the heart of the service is the service professional who's going to your home to deliver this service. This could be a beautician, a plumber, a carpenter, a cleaner, etc., etc. But it is, this person whose skill your experience, 90% of your experience is driven by. So it's very important that this individual service professional is high quality, is highly trained, background verified, and his or her incentives are aligned to your incentives as a consumer.
Well, very, very recently, UrbanClap has now expanded into Dubai. You are even planning to go out and cover the Middle East market. How different is the market different from India?
I think the biggest difference is that Dubai is a very organized market. It's a very concentrated market. There are about 9 million people who live in Dubai, and all of them are concentrated in a very small geographic location, and all of them have very high purchasing power. So unlike Indian cities where only a percentage of your population is addressable, in Dubai all the 9 million people are technically addressable. And two, from a service ecosystem side or a service partner side, the quality of services that partners render is also of a slightly higher order. So most service professionals are reasonably well trained, they have certifications. So the entire ecosystem is, I would say, one notch higher in terms of service quality.
Well, there's another feather in the cap of UrbanClap. In fact, you guys have gone on and now had a collaboration with IKEA. How is that helping your company? Is it giving you a lot more coverage, lot more market value right now?
I think it's a very win-win partnership. I think I'm a big believer in win-win partnerships, and I think this is a classic one where everybody wins. We benefit from partnering with a global company like IKEA. And obviously there's a lot that we can learn from them in terms of their processes as well as their obsession with quality, which is something that we truly admire. I think IKEA and their customers benefit from a very convenient one-tap solution and an affordable at-home assembly. So I think it's a classic win-win business partnership, and this is the reason why we entered in the first place. We have historically never done B2B partnerships. In fact, this is our first and only B2B partnership till date. But with IKEA, we had to make that exception.
Well, UrbanClap is a huge company and it's only expanding by the month. What are the challenges that you have faced ever since you started UrbanClap 4 years ago?
Insofar as the top two challenges today are concerned, I think one is more sort of outwardly facing, which is how do we continue to maintain quality of our services as we scale as a platform in a marketplace. I think we are scaling at a very fast clip. We are growing incredibly fast, and it's important that we don't dilute the service quality and the platform quality as we scale. In fact, I would say that it's important that we continue to invest in and significantly improve the quality with scale, and do the things that only scale allows us to do, to invest back into our fundamental quality for customers and end partners. So I think that's the number one challenge that we focus on, and I think we spend a lot of our energy on, which is how do we continue to scale quality with the platform scale, and how do we continue to invest in quality. How do we make sure that our net promoter scores and our average ratings and our fulfillment percentages are constantly moving upwards. So that's the number one, and I think probably the most important challenge or area of focus. The second is internal, which is how do we bring on board top talent? How do we create a culture of meritocracy and ownership where this top talent can thrive, and how do we retain and grow this top talent? And I think those are the two biggest challenges.
So tell me, Abhiraj, because it's not just you who's running the company, there's Raghav and Varun as well, who are, all three of you are working together to run this company. Do you think there must be a lot of disagreements or arguments that must be taking place in the daily functioning or the comprehensive functioning of UrbanClap? How do you handle these sort of differences between the three of you?
I personally, Varun and Raghav, I genuinely personally believe that they're far more intelligent people than I am. That means that I find myself in this very lucky position where both the co-founders that I work with are intellectually and otherwise just very, very sharp and very intelligent, and that means I have to constantly push myself to bring a better version of myself on the table every day. And it's them and a lot of other people at UrbanClap who are not necessarily co-founders but are part of the core team constantly push me to make sure that I'm operating at my best. We do have differences of opinion, we do have disagreements, but at the end of the day, we play for the same team, and we recognize that once off the playing field, we have to take the game seriously, but we can't take ourselves very seriously.
Well, I wish you all the best, Abhiraj, for your expansion plans in Dubai, maybe across the world, as a matter of fact, in just a few years maybe. Well, with that, we come to our next segment, which is a new cafe that is there in town. It's called Kanzum Travel Cafe. Now, what happens when you combine your passion with travel and writing? Well, in case of Ajay Jain, a fancy travel cafe in the heart of the city. It was Ajay's love for travel that led him to blog about his journeys And his cafe, which is called the Kanzum Travel Cafe, is a melting pot of travelers from across the world who are visiting the place to share their adventures. Well, let's take a look at the journey of Ajay Jain and